So what can you do about this? And these are, kind of high level, not at all specific recommendations, just to start get people thinking about what they can do. So I said before, everyone has a role to play in this. And so, but really boils down to making data excellence your top priority, and actively engage across teams and leadership. System developers and operators, or sometimes I call, like, these are the doers. These are the people with the data literacy, with the technical skills to be able to address some of these problems. I think, again, lots of ideas here. I would say that, increasing time spent on data research and understanding preparation, looking at potential downstream biases and solutions is really important. I think what some technical folks don't do enough of is engaging with domain experts and their field partners throughout that data collection and model building process. And I think this can really, really help help an analyst who's not necessarily trained in the domain understand what's going to be important in the decision-making process. Also, I like the idea of, like, do more interviews with your potential benefactors. I don't know that I ever got contracted or contacted by a credit card company to say, hey, if you were to apply for a loan, how would you feel about this? No one's ever asked me that. Wouldn't that be interesting if you actually considered the people who are going to be impacted and get their input about what they think and how they would feel about the system that you're building and their own well-being. Documentation. There's really no good standards in documentation like there is in code. And I think that we could apply some good practices around like peer review and metadata standards that go into how you document decisions made in data collection and data processing, so that if you're doing your retrospective and you're trying to figure out, oh, well, why did my model end up biased, you have a record of how that happened in a faster approach to fixing any problems you come across. I think executive leaders and the ethicists also have a big role to play. Again, these are the ones who create culture, and they can make data excellence a priority, and they can promote that culture within. And also, they have control over the money at the time and the budget, and just really, really understand the importance that data quality pays in that. The last part I want to mention, hire technical teams with diverse backgrounds, including social sciences. I think, so I come from a background of physical sciences, and there I really do think I was kind of raised with this myth that STEM fields are apolitical, unbiased, and I think a lot of people are drawn to physical sciences or computer sciences because of that feeling. We like to think that there's an unbiased way of making good choices. And it took me years to really understand that, scientists themselves, even in physical sciences, are biased. I think this is something social scientists understand very well in their studies, just how much, the human factor plays a role in the data you collect. So, and then diversity across race, gender, sexual orientation, just having people on your team that can advocate for the underserved population often goes a very, very long way. Next slide. Okay, so some recommendations to address algorithmic bias. I kind of divided this up into what you can do if you're in the development cycle, what you can do in the operations side of things. I'll just go through this real quickly because I know I talked a long time already. But again, a lot of this goes into design. So define your problem first. Just define the groups that you're looking to protect and that you have a concern about. You're putting these considerations right into your thought process early on before you even touch data. Consider, removing protected attributes so that they don't affect your model. Removing proxy attributes. Proxy attributes are things that, they're not necessarily, like zip code, for instance, could be something that it doesn't look like it could be racist, but perhaps it is if it's a community that's predominantly Black. You might consider removing that as a predictor indicator, because that can lead to bias. Model explainability and transparency can be really important to build trust, and this can get really difficult with complex algorithms like neural nets. So you can consider, like, can a simple algorithm in which you can give somebody an answer for why they were denied alone, it can really tie in that the feeling that you're considering somebody's well-being and considering them as a person in the decisions that you're making. I think looking at fairness metrics is important. It can be really challenging to like algorithmically optimize over multiple demographics, but you don't even have to do that. You can just, like, after building a model, you can start breaking down your data set by the protected attributes that you're interested in, and looking at whether there is fairness in the outcomes. Like, you're not seeing a disproportionately lower group of people based on their race being accepted into your positive results. And then again, just document. It will really help you maintain integrity and transparency. On the operations side, operations is interesting. I see it as an opportunity to, if you've gone through the process of identifying potential biases that could be in your existing data set, operations is the opportunity to collect the data you don't have yet. So the next time you refine that model, you have better data to go along with it. And I think that there's also ways to deploy and operate a model in which, if you have any concerns about bias in that model, you run it in a trial mode. You do this challenger baseline mode. So you don't actually change the way that the business is making its choices, but you're running that model in parallel to the current decision process, and you're tracking whether it does better or does worse, not just on the performance or profit, but in fairness. Another useful way, and Capital One actually made their business on this, is you purposefully accept a small sample of negative outcomes. So people who your algorithm said, nope, don't give these people a credit card, you give them a credit card anyway, because now they're in your system and you're tracking them, and you're actually able to collect data on a whole demographic that you didn't consider before. And it actually led to more clients and making more money in the end. So this is another really good way that you can design your operations to be more fair, and at the same time collect better data, which will only make them more fair in the next round.